For a long time, I've been trying to understand Hegel's book, Phenomenology of Spirit, to no avail. This book is immensely hard to grasp, and his writing is tortuous at best and confusing at its worst. The videos I could find about Hegel's work are too short and don't delve deeply into his line of thought. The main goal of my videos is not to be short, but to try and really understand his ideas in some depth. I have asked AI to help me read it and have been posting short videos, summarizing a paragraph a day of the work so I can more easily understand it. Although AI sometimes simplifies too much what Hegel meant, it's a good introduction to the matter. My only hope is that others can also benefit from these videos, if only to get a better idea of his thoughts before or after reading the actual work. This is a collection of the first 10 paragraphs of the book, summarized by AI and read in an AI voice. In the preface to a philosophical work, it is customary for the author to explain their purpose, motivations, and the relation of their work to other treatments of the same topics. However, for philosophy, this practice seems superfluous and even counterproductive. Philosophy deals with universal truths that encompass particulars, and its essence cannot be adequately conveyed through general explanations or historical context. Unlike other sciences, where understanding the parts can lead to grasping the whole, philosophy requires attention to the particularities of its subject matter. Aggregating bits of information does not constitute true science, and discussing philosophy's purpose in general terms fails to capture its essence. If philosophy were to rely on such methods, it would be incapable of grasping the truth. Attempting to define how a philosophical work relates to others on the same subject introduces unnecessary complexity and obscures the pursuit of truth. Conventional opinion often fixates on the opposition between truth and falsity, expecting philosophical systems to be either accepted or rejected. This perspective fails to see the diversity of philosophical systems as the progressive unfolding of truth, instead perceiving only disagreements. Just as a bud is replaced by a blossom, and a blossom by fruit, these forms are distinct yet part of an organic unity, each necessary for the whole. However, those who reject a philosophical system often do not understand this process, and those who recognize contradictions typically cannot resolve or sustain them as interconnected and necessary moments. In the third paragraph, Hegel tackles the superficial approach to philosophy that focuses on aims and results rather than engaging deeply with the essence of a philosophical problem. He argues that merely stating an aim or judging a result is not the same as genuinely understanding or realizing it. True comprehension requires not just recognizing the end product but also grasping the process that led to it. When philosophers judge ideas based on surface-level distinctions, they evade the deeper work of understanding. They may appear committed to the issue but are in fact keeping a distance from it. Hegel emphasizes that genuine knowledge involves immersing oneself in the subject, a challenging task that goes beyond passing judgment to a synthesis of insight and judgment. The development of culture begins by understanding general principles and viewpoints, forming a broad concept of the core issue, and learning to argue for or against it. Culture then advances by analyzing life's complexity in detail, providing clear guidance and informed judgments. From the start, it must respect the depth and richness of life, leading to a genuine experience of the real issue. Even after deep understanding is achieved, this thoughtful approach should remain relevant in everyday discussions. Truth can only truly exist in the form of a scientific system, and my aim is to bring philosophy closer to this form, transforming it from a mere love of knowing into actual knowledge. The necessity for philosophy to become science comes both from its intrinsic nature and from the current progression of time. Demonstrating that now is the right moment to elevate philosophy to science would both justify this goal and fulfill it. Asserting that truth can only take a scientific form, existing solely through the concept or notion, seems to contradict a popular belief today. This prevailing view holds that the absolute, true reality, is accessed through intuition or immediate knowledge, not through concepts. From this perspective, philosophy should not aim to understand the absolute through notions but to feel and intuit it directly. Thus, this view sees truth as something to be felt and experienced rather than intellectually comprehended. Spirit, or self-consciousness, has moved beyond its former state of faith and certainty in an essential, universal being. Now, spirit recognizes its loss of substance and feels its own finitude, turning away from this emptiness. It seeks from philosophy not a rational understanding, but rather a sense of restored solidity and wholeness. Instead of analytical insight, it now desires edification, a return to feelings of beauty, holiness, and eternal love, sustained by enthusiasm rather than cold, logical necessity. There is a vigorous effort to shift people's focus from their mundane, sensory concerns to higher, divine matters, as if they had forgotten the divine and were content with earthly things. In the past, people looked beyond the present world to a heavenly realm filled with rich thoughts and imagery. It took a long time for people to focus on worldly experiences and see them as valuable. Now, the opposite is needed. People's senses are so rooted in earthly things that it takes great effort to elevate them. The spirit is so impoverished that it craves even the slightest feeling of the divine, showing how much it has lost. Science should not be content with modest complacency or sparingness in giving. Those who seek mere edification or wish to obscure the complexity of their existence and thoughts to pursue vague divine enjoyment can find plenty of opportunities to do so. However, philosophy must avoid the desire to be merely edifying. Complacency that dismisses science should not claim superiority over it. This prophetic talk pretends to be profound but avoids clear concepts and necessity, which are seen as finite. Just as there can be empty breadth, there can also be empty depth. True depth and power of spirit are only as great as their expression. When non-conceptual knowledge claims to be true and holy, it hides the truth by rejecting measure and definition, giving way to randomness and personal whims. Such minds, believing they receive divine wisdom in a state of self-surrender, actually produce nothing but dreams.